The scrapyard hummed with a low, mechanical groan as Jack's Darrow stood at the base of the massive, rusted hulk of the warship. Asleel. Once a flagship of humanity's greatest fleet, it now lay forgotten amidst a graveyard of broken ships. Years of neglect had left it a skeleton of its former self, but Jack saw beyond the decay. To him, it was the solution to everything he'd lost. Jax wiped a smear of oil from his cheek, his eyes narrowing as he studied the colossal structure. "This is it," he muttered to himself, almost as if reassuring the ship. "You're not done yet." He had been working on it for months, alone, hidden away from the galaxy that had forgotten the warship's existence. His fingers twitched, instinctively reaching for the tool belt hanging at his side. He could almost feel the ship's heartbeat beneath its scarred plating, a pulse waiting to be ignited. But this wasn't just any ship, it was a weapon, a force designed for annihilation, and bringing it back to life wouldn't be easy. Jack stepped closer to the hull, the scent of oil and scorched metal mixing in the air. The landscape around him was desolate, empty, save for the broken fragments of old ships and machinery scattered like bones in a forgotten battlefield. The remains of humanity's war with the Zrathians, the alien race that had nearly wiped them out, were everywhere, but this was Jax's world now. It had to be. Suddenly, the hiss of static broke the silence. Jax froze, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. The AI was waking up. "Hello," he asked softly, his voice bouncing off the cold metal. For a moment, the only response was the distant sound of winds sweeping across the barren landscape. But then, "This is not good," signal. A flicker of light burst from the ship's main console, its systems slowly coming online, flickering erratically. Jax grinned wider, heart racing with excitement. "Come on, old girl. Show me what you've got." The AI, fragmented and incomplete, spoke again, a faint crackling distortion beneath its words. "Jax Darrow. Identification confirmed. But, danger." His brow furrowed. Danger? Jax's thoughts raced. The Zrathians were gone, their empire shattered into ruins, but that didn't mean the galaxy was at peace. There were plenty of mercenaries, scavengers, and desperate factions eager for the power a warship like Asleel could offer. He wasn't the only one who remembered the power of those old ships. He took a deep breath, steadying his nerves. There was no turning back now. "I know the stakes. We'll fix this, together." The wind howled around him, carrying the faintest hint of smoke from the distant fires of a nearby city. He could feel the pressure building, like the calm before a storm. Asleel might have been a broken relic, but with his skills and the AI's systems, it could become a weapon again. The question was, who would come for it first? Before he could take another step, the faintest shadow shifted across the horizon. His hand went instinctively to the blaster holstered at his side, but his instincts screamed louder than logic. Someone was watching him. And they knew what he had. Jax turned back to the ship, the first faint hum of its engines beginning to pulse in the air, and he knew that this was only the beginning. The sun was setting on the desolate horizon, casting long shadows over the abandoned shipyard. Jax wiped the sweat from his brow, staring at the flickering console. Asleel's systems were still unstable, but there was something there, something just beyond his reach. He could feel it. He ran a hand over the cool metal of the ship's hull, the hum of its awakening engines growing stronger beneath his fingers. "Jax, please, be cautious," the AI whispered, its voice distant but more coherent now. He paused, glancing over his shoulder. The warning had an edge to it, a sense of urgency that prickled at the back of his mind. The ship, once just a lifeless relic, was beginning to feel more like a partner than a machine. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. His eyes scanned the scrapyard again. There was nothing at first, just the scattered wreckage of broken ships and burned-out tech, but then he saw it. A figure, standing motionless at the edge of the yard, cloaked in shadows. Jax's hand instinctively went to the blaster at his side. Not again, he thought, his grip tightening around the weapon's hilt. Whoever it was, they were too far away to be an immediate threat. But their presence set his nerves on edge. "AI, Can you see them? Jax asked, keeping his voice steady. There was a pause before the AI responded, its voice more crackling this time. I cannot identify the target. But they are watching you. Caution is advised. Jax didn't need to be told twice. He moved quickly, stepping behind the massive wreck of his Rathian cruiser, its burned hull providing some cover. His breath slowed as he crouched low, scanning the area. The figure hadn't moved, but Jax felt the weight of their gaze, a sharp discomfort that gnawed at his focus. Why are they watching me? He wondered. Is this some scavenger, looking for a quick payout? Or something worse? As he considered his options, the AI cut in again, this time with a more urgent tone. Warning. Unknown ship detected. Velocity approaching rapidly. It's incoming. Jax's heart skipped a beat. He straightened, his eyes darting toward the skies. A dark speck appeared on the horizon, growing larger by the second. It was a ship, sleek and menacing, its silhouette cutting through the dimming light. It wasn't just any craft, it was a military-grade shuttle, one Jax recognized all too well. Mercenaries, he thought grimly. They've found me. The figure in the shadows didn't flinch. They were still watching, waiting, as if they knew what was coming. Jax's pulse quickened. He had no illusions about the kind of trouble he was in. He couldn't outrun the mercenaries, his only chance was to get Asleel online and ready for a fight. Get ready, he whispered to the ship, more to himself than the AI. This is where we either rise or fall. The sound of the approaching shuttle grew louder, cutting through the stillness like a blade. Jax didn't wait any longer. He sprinted toward Asleel's open hatch, ignoring the burning muscles in his legs, the roar of the ship's engines now pounding in his ears. As the mercenaries' craft drew closer, he reached the hatch. It slid open with a hiss, and Jax dove inside, slamming his hands onto the control panel. Let's hope you're ready for this, he muttered under his breath. The AI flickered in response. I am. The warship's systems hummed with power, the dormant titan now coming to life. Outside, the mercenary shuttle descended, its engines roaring with menacing intent. Jax locked his fingers around the control stick, eyes scanning the ship's monitors. The battle was coming, whether he was ready or not. Jax's hands gripped the controls, his knuckles turning white as the mercenary shuttle hovered just a mile away. His breath came in shallow bursts, adrenaline pumping through his veins. The warship's systems were still unstable, the AI flickering in and out of clarity as it struggled to sync with the long-dormant systems. But Jax wasn't about to let that stop him. He had one shot at this, and he was determined to take it. Are you with me, Asleel? Jax's voice was low but firm. His fingers danced over the console, activating the primary weapons systems. The AI's response was a crackling hum. We are ready. A cold, metallic clang echoed through the ship, vibrating through the hull. The mercenary shuttle was within striking distance now, its aggressive descent reflecting the threat it carried. Jax could almost feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. They want the ship, he thought. They want him. Who are they? He muttered to himself, scanning the incoming shuttle. He didn't recognize the markings, but it didn't matter. It wasn't about who they were, it was about survival. The galaxy had a way of drawing the worst kinds of people to the deadliest weapons. Jax's fingers hovered over the targeting system. Sweat beaded on his forehead as the ship's weapons came online, the wine of energy surging through the ship's core. Please, not now, he whispered, willing the ship to hold steady. The AI systems struggled, then pulsed back to life, lines of code flashing across the interface. A screech of metal filled the cockpit as a warning light blinked across the screen, incoming fire detected. The mercenary shuttle had launched a barrage, its weapons tearing through the thin atmosphere with explosive force. Jax didn't wait for a second. His hand slammed down on the launch button, and the warship's cannons opened fire. Blue bolts of plasma streaked through the sky, cutting through the approaching mercenaries' weaponry like a hot knife through butter. The shuttle veered to the side, but it wasn't fast enough. A blast from Asleel's cannons clipped the shuttle's wing, sending it into a spin. The shuttle shuddered as smoke billowed from the damaged hull, but it wasn't down. Jax gritted his teeth. They won't stop, not without a fight. A familiar voice crackled through his comm system, distorted but clear enough for him to hear. You can't outrun me, Jax. His stomach dropped. The voice was familiar, too familiar. He leaned forward in his seat, scanning the screen for the source. The mercenary shuttle's hatch opened, and a figure stepped out, silhouetted against the flames. The figure was tall, armored, and the faint glint of a familiar insignia caught Jax's eye. You've got to be kidding me, Jax muttered. He didn't have to see the face to know who it was. Kai, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Of course. The AI flickered. Warning, unknown adversary, combat efficiency high. Jax clenched his fists. Kai, a shadow from his past, someone he never thought he'd see again. A former ally turned enemy, and now, he was standing in the middle of a fight that Jax wasn't sure he could win. This ends now, Jax said through gritted teeth. His hand slammed the throttle forward, pushing Asleel into a sharp ascent. The warship responded with a roar, engines firing to life as it shot toward the mercenary shuttle. Kai's voice came through the comms again, louder now, taunting. You never learn, do you, Jax? Jax's jaw tightened, determination flooding his chest. This time, he wouldn't be the one running. Not today, Kai, Jax said. The first strike was his. The galaxy had underestimated humanity before, but that was about to change. The cockpit trembled beneath Jax's hands as he pushed Asleel harder, weaving between incoming fire from the mercenary shuttle. He could feel the ship's pulse beneath his fingers, the once dormant vessel now roaring to life with his commands. Each shot from the mercenaries tore at the sky, but Asleel was faster, more agile than they anticipated. Jax grinned, his pulse quickening. You haven't changed a bit, Kai, Jax muttered, eyes narrowed. Still chasing ghosts. Kai's voice crackled over the comms, colder this time. I've moved on from ghosts, Jax. This is bigger than you, bigger than your ship. The man was delusional, Jax thought. Kai had once been part of the crew that fought the Zrathians, but somewhere along the way, he had abandoned everything they stood for. Now, he was hunting Jax, and Asleel was the prize. The mercenary shuttle veered closer, firing another volley of shots. Jax's heart skipped a beat as the first blast grazed the side of Asleel's hull. Sparks flew, but the ship held firm. Jax slammed the control stick forward, forcing Asleel into a nosedive. Let's show them why they never should have come here, he growled. Jax's hands flew over the console, activating the remaining weapons. Asleel's cannons roared to life once again, and Jax fired a series of plasma bolts toward the mercenary shuttle. The impact shook the enemy ship, sending it spiraling briefly before it corrected itself, still coming for him. Still want to dance, Kai? Jax's voice was thick with both defiance and determination. Another burst of laughter crackled over the comms. You think you've won, don't you? Kai's voice dripped with venom. This warship is nothing but a pile of junk. You can't win with just this. Jax's jaw tightened. Kai was underestimating him, but that was exactly what he wanted. The mercenaries had no idea how much Asleel could do, no idea how much Jax had already unlocked from its ancient systems. You don't know the first thing about this ship, Jax said, locking onto the mercenary shuttle's trajectory. He activated the final system. A blinding flash of light erupted from Asleel's weapons array, sending a direct shot into the shuttle's engine core. The shuttle exploded in a violent fireball, its fragments scattering across the sky like burning embers. The force of the blast pushed Asleel back, but Jax kept his grip steady, guiding the ship into a controlled spin. As the smoke cleared, all that was left of the mercenary shuttle were bits of charred wreckage. A silence filled the cockpit. For a moment, Jax let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. Kai was gone. Then, the AI spoke again, its voice softer this time. You did it. We did it. Jax let a grin break across his face, a rare moment of relief. He slumped back into his seat, exhaustion washing over him in waves. But it wasn't over. The galaxy was still out there, waiting, and with Asleel's power at his disposal, there were no more hiding. There was only what came next. His eyes turned toward the distant stars, the vast expanse of space stretching beyond the ship. "Let's see what we're really capable of," Jax said, determination hardening his voice. Asleel hummed in agreement, its systems now fully synchronized with his. Together, they were ready to take on whatever the universe threw their way. The warship flew toward the stars, its engines blazing through the darkness. And for the first time in years, Jax felt the weight of his choices shift. They were no longer just survivors. They were warriors. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming.